Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're going to be comparing the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus to the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. Now, this is going to be a pretty thorough comparison, but I'm not going to talk about some different things, speed comparisons and all that stuff. I'll do for the most part, but I might do separate speed tests and, a camera test. I'll talk about them briefly in this video. But other than those things, this will be a pretty comprehensive comparison between both of them in terms of the size, the way they feel, and everything. You'll pretty much feel like you own both these phones in your hand. And the biggest difference between these phones obviously would be the age, but also the price tag. So the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, as you guys know, it cost me about like $1,100-ish, probably closer to $1,200 to buy outright, which is a lot of money to pay for a phone. And they actually increased the prices from last year, which is kind of annoying. But it is what it is. They can't really do anything about it. Whereas on the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus, this phone cost like $899 or $949, whatever it was when it first came out. This thing you can pick up right now on Amazon for about $260 something, which is extremely cheap, and it's much cheaper than this phone. What I will say is that, for the price per value per dollar, whatever, the better value per dollar is probably the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. But like I've said before, it's not usually like between two phones themselves. It's usually, there's other phones in the market. I'll give you an example. The Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, which is still a super capable phone. This phone is a very, very good phone. Like, there's really nothing wrong with this phone at all. It has so much going for it, and you can pick one of these up for less than $500 on Amazon right now. So this one sits in the basically in the middle of both these phones. So I'd highly recommend, if you have all the money in the world to spend, pick up a Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus. If you don't want to spend that much money, pick up a Galaxy S8 Plus. However, if you are in the middle, you just basically want to get the best value per dollar, the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus is a perfect phone that sits right in the middle of both of these. So I'll leave links to all these in the description below. You can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Looking on the front of both these phones, you'll see that obviously they have a little bit of difference going about them, but they're almost about the same way they feel in the hand. The S20 Plus seems a little bit longer, but the S8 Plus seems a little bit thicker. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus has a 6.2-inch Super AMOLED display. It's a 1440p display, and it's funny because this panel is about the same size that we have, technically speaking, on the Samsung Galaxy S20, but the fact of the matter is we just have more bezel on the S8 Plus than on the S20 Plus. Not a big deal, but that's something you should consider. And the screen itself is pretty good. I really had no complaints with this screen. I've always found it to be very, very good. It has a lot going for it, really whatever I'm going to do with it, and the colors seem very, very nice. Really the one thing, I just don't like Samsung's wallpapers for these backgrounds, and I always have to change them. But in this case, I'll go and change it to something else, like this one for example. The colors and everything on this phone are very nice, and I have a lot of respect for Samsung panels. On the S20 Plus, like I said before though, you have a 6.7-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's a very, very good panel too. There's nothing on this panel that screams to me that's a bad looking panel or anything like that. This panel is very, very good. And it's a 1440p panel as well, and it's just such a sharp panel. You really have no complaints at it. It's a very, very good looking panel at the end of the day. But the super cool thing we have on the S20 Plus, which I have enabled right here, is the 120Hz refresh rate. So what we can do on this phone, which we can do on not only the S8 Plus, but a ton of other phones too, is the ability to have the screen refresh at a faster rate than a lot of other phones. So if you go into the display, you scroll down into motion smoothness or whatever it's called, which is right here, I just passed it, you can set this to 120 Hz, which will actually make this screen refresh at a faster rate, which makes everything look so smooth. And honestly, what I would recommend you to do is go to the Samsung store, go to AT&T, T-Mobile, wherever, and actually look at this thing, because it will definitely change the way you view phones. It's seriously some really cool stuff that Samsung's doing. I have a lot of respect for them doing that. So that's something that you have in the S20 Plus that you don't necessarily have on the S8 Plus. But in terms of the way they look almost the same in terms of the display, but obviously the S20 Plus looks a lot better because it has a very little bezel on it. On the bottom you can see USB Type-C on the S20 Plus, as well as the S8 Plus, but the S8 Plus does have the headphone jack, which is really cool, which some people might like. Both have micro SD card slots, which is really cool. And on the cameras department, you can see that we have a single camera setup on the S8 Plus, but a triple camera setup with an additional depth sensor on the S20 Plus, which is really nice. And in terms of the cameras, I'll tell you the S20 Plus is going to win, but I'll talk about more of that in a second. Fingerprint sensor on the S8 Plus. But in terms of the way they feel and look, everything, they feel almost the same. Like, one doesn't feel way premium than the other. If you're going to be walking around the store, like going from one place to the other with both these, one's not going to feel like way more better than the other one in terms of the way they feel. So they're very, very similar in the way they feel in the hand. So that really pretty much covers it up in the outside. Now, hitting on the software, this is one thing where obviously one phone is going to completely annihilate the other one. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus started off with Android Nougat, and right now we are on Android Pie with One UI. And that's really pretty much it on the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus side. It's not getting any more versions of software. And that was a really big deal when I made that video about the S8 and the S8 Plus getting, stopping support. That was such a dumb thing. Samsung could have easily supported this phone for another version of software, but they decided not to. I'm not really too sure why. They could have easily done it, but they decided not to. On the S20 Plus though, this thing started off with Android 10 on One UI 2. We are going to be getting another version of software and probably another version of software on top of that. And if Samsung changes up their software release cycle, then maybe we'll go continue on. But as of right now, that's pretty much where we are at. The S20 Plus is definitely going to outlast the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus in terms of software, but they're both at the end of the day pretty much getting the same exact software versions unless Samsung changes something about their company. So that really pretty much covers it up there. Now go ahead and handle the performance and do a little bit of a speed test. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 835 chipset, an octa-core CPU, and Adreno 540 GPU. There were two different models of the S8 Plus, a 64 and 128 gig model, and the base model has 4 gigs of RAM, the top sheet model has 6 gigs of RAM. This model that I have here has 4 gigs of RAM, but the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 chipset, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 650 GPU, and all three models of the S20 Plus have 12 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of speed test between them and see which one is the faster one. Spoiler alert, the S20 Plus is probably going to be faster, but let's go and see which one's the faster one. So I have all the apps cleared out in the background, as I should. Let's go ahead and clear out of these. Okay, we're good. Let's go and start loading these things up. Let's do the Play Store. 3, 2, 1. And you can see so much faster on the S20 Plus, and it looks like it's glitching up quite a bit on the S20 Plus actually, but you can see this motion smoothness. It doesn't have anything to do with the performance, but definitely at the end of the day, the S8 Plus just is a little bit slower. Camera 3, 2, 1. It's a little bit more difficult to see, okay. Snake versus blocks 3, 2, 1. You can see the S20 Plus just so much ahead of the S8 Plus, and actually, it was a little bit ahead, but I think I overreacted there. It was definitely not like crazy amounts, it was just a slightly faster. So in terms of the gameplay, they're both about the same too. I like how big these screens are. I love just these bigger screen sized phones. Let's do stack 3, 2, 1. You can see, okay, to get into the ad, it was faster on the S20 Plus for sure. Crossy Road 3, 2, 1. And again, look how much faster it is on the S20 Plus. We did get into a little bit of an ad or whatever here, but still was faster. Let's get into some gameplay. See which one is the faster one. Okay, I already died there. As you can see, they're both going to be about the same in terms of the performance. It's Temple Run 3, 2, 1. Now, I think I might have tapped this one by like a split second faster, but I might have to redo it. No, I don't. But this one might be give it a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. For the S8 Plus, I tapped this one just a split second faster, if I'm being honest. But you can see even then, it was still faster on the S20 Plus for sure. Let's get into some gameplay, and they're both going to be about the same. There's not going to be one that's way faster than the other one. I mean, that one pretty much covers that one. Let's get into Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And as you can see, S20 Plus is just flying through. The S8 Plus is quite a bit behind, I'm not going to lie, and you're not going to notice these many differences if you're going day by day, but this is the type of performance difference you're going to see if you go choose a S8 Plus over an S20 Plus, or what type of improvements you would get going from one phone to the other. And you can see that's pretty much the difference we're going to see right there. Play Real Racing 3, 3, 2, 1. And even getting into the app, look how much faster it was on the S20 Plus or with the S8 Plus. This is quite a bit of difference that we're going to be seeing from one phone to the other. And as you can see, we have to download this stuff again. But between both, the S20 Plus was still going to be the faster one for sure. Now, that kind of sums this comparison. This wasn't a in brief one. It wasn't a crazy one. It was just a quick one I wanted to showcase to you guys in terms of the performance. Now, I do kind of want to hit on the camera pretty quickly as well. Now, the S8 Plus has a single camera setup. It's a 12 megapixel sensor, which isn't that bad of a camera. We have flash and everything like that. On the S20 Plus, we have a triple camera setup with an additional depth sensor. We have a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 64 megapixel telephoto lens, 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and then that 0.3 megapixel depth lens. And for sure, at the end of the day, the S20 Plus is not only the more capable camera, it has more features, it has everything like that, but it also has the ability to shoot 8K videos, which is impressive, and that's so nice. That's something that not a lot of phones have the capability of doing. So for sure, at the end of the day, the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus is going to have the far better camera than the S8 Plus. The S8 Plus camera is still pretty good. It can still get you from point A to point B, but for sure at the end of the day, the S20 Plus has the far better camera than the S8 Plus for sure. Now, to kind of end off with the battery, the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus has a 3500 mAh battery. The Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus has a 4500 mAh battery, and again, without even having to explain it, the S20 Plus has the better battery life for sure. both phones actually had pretty decent battery life, but the S8 Plus, because it is older, batteries tend to degrade over time faster, or not faster, but if an older phone, if you have it, it's going to degrade in terms of the battery life more so than a newer phone. So at the end of the day, the Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus will not only have the better battery life than the S8 Plus, but it'll be far better than you might think than the S8 Plus too. So to kind of sum up the video and to answer the question and the comparison, should you pick up the S20 Plus? Should you keep your S8 Plus? Yada yada yada. What I will tell you is that if you have the S8 Plus, I would recommend keeping it until the S20 Plus prices go down, either on Amazon or in the used prices. Once they start getting certified refurbished on Amazon, they're probably going to start selling for like $800 or even less than that. So I'd recommend waiting until that happens. Or if you have all the money in the world, pick up an S20 Plus. You know what I mean? This is the best, probably the best phone in the market right now. I would highly recommend going through with it. However, like I said, if you want some phone that's in the middle of both of these, you don't want the super expensive phone, but you don't want a super cheap or older outdated phone, the S10 Plus is there for you guys if you want it. I would way recommend getting this one over the S20 Plus right now, because these, like I said, are less than $500. It's a super capable phone, and there's so much going for this phone still that's not even funny. So that's pretty much where I'd leave it at. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Like I said, you can get either of these phones on Amazon. Links are down in the description. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed this video, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. All those links are linked down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys would check it out. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.